Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at something that I think is super fundamental to all of our lives, and that's daily routines. Whether you've planned yours out meticulously or just sort of happened that way organically, you've got some sort of rhythm to your day, right?
Easily.
You wake up and you do your thing, and then you go to bed. And our goal today is to really get into the nitty-gritty of these routines and see how understanding them can actually help you, the listener, feel a bit more in control of your day. Like, that sense of balance we're all sort of striving for.
Definitely. I think we often kind of sleepwalk through our days, but when we can kind of dissect these routines and see what's working, what's not, it can be a game changer. And for this deep dive, we've got a really interesting source.
Yeah.
It's a conversation between Jennifer and Daniel from the English Leap podcast, and they were kind enough to share their daily routines. So we get to kind of compare and contrast two very different but effective approaches to structuring the day.
Yeah. I love that. So Jennifer, who's a student, starts her day a little bit later. She wakes up around 7 a.m., and she's all about easing into the day. Like, she actually starts with a little bit of stretching and some mindful breathing before she even gets out of bed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's like a real go-with-the-flow kind of morning person.
Totally. Whereas Daniel, who's working, he has to be up a little bit earlier. So 6:30 a.m. is his wake-up time. And the first thing he does, like literally the first thing, is hydrate. He drinks a huge glass of water. But the thing is, despite these very different starts, they both go on to do those like core morning things,
Right.
Brushing their teeth, washing their faces, those essential habits that kind of get you going.
It is interesting, though, how those initial choices kind of reflect their different priorities.
Oh, really?
Like Jennifer, she has a little more flexibility maybe in her schedule. She can prioritize that slow, mindful start. Daniel's got to be ready to hit the ground running for work.
Yeah.
So he's all about that immediate, physical need.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. And it kind of makes you think about your own morning routine.
Right.
Are you more of an ease into it, or do you need to jump straight into action?
I'm definitely a jump into action type of person.
Yeah. And that actually perfectly segues into their breakfast choices.
Oh, tell me more.
So Jennifer, she keeps it light. She'll have oatmeal or some toast.
Yeah.
Just enough to fuel her up without feeling weighed down before her classes.
Oh, that makes sense.
But Daniel, he goes for a much more substantial meal. He's like, eggs and toast or a smoothie.
Yeah.
Something that's going to keep him going for longer.
Yeah. That makes sense for his workday, too.
Yeah.
He needs that sustained energy.
Yeah.
I think it's really smart how they're both thinking strategically about what their mornings are going to demand of them and then fueling themselves accordingly.
Yeah, for sure. And then comes the part that I think a lot of us can relate to, getting organized for the day.
Yes.
So Jennifer, she takes a couple of minutes to check her emails, go over her to-do list, just kind of create that mental roadmap for the day.
Right.
Daniel does something similar. He reviews his class schedule so he knows what's coming up, what he needs to prepare for. That shared intention of just feeling organized, it really seems key for both of them.
That feeling of being on top of things, right? Like, I find if I don't take those few minutes in the morning to organize, I'm kind of playing catch up all day.
Yeah.
Stressed out.
Absolutely. And it's funny because in the episode we're looking at, Jennifer and Daniel actually touch on how the language we use around routines can kind of deepen our understanding of them.
Ooh. Okay. That's interesting.
Right. And they actually brought in this vocabulary expert, Crystal.
Nice.
Who highlighted some of these key terms that came up in their descriptions of their morning.
Okay. Like what?
So for Jennifer, words like stretch, that gentle way she starts her day by extending her body. Or light breakfast, that simple fuel she chooses.
Right.
And then for Daniel, it's hydrate, that very first thing he does, drinking that water.
Of course.
And then to-do list, that essential tool for getting organized.
It's funny, right? Because we just do these things.
Yeah.
We don't always think about the words for them.
Yeah.
But when you really consider those words, it adds a whole other layer of meaning. Like hydrating, it's not just about, oh, I'm thirsty. It's about re-energizing your body after hours of sleep.
Totally.
Or a to-do list. It's not just a list.
No.
It's like a proactive step towards actually managing your time and your tasks.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so let's move on to the afternoon. So for Jennifer, afternoons are all about her studies. So we've got classes, lectures, lots of focused study sessions.
Right.
But what she finds really important is incorporating short breaks throughout.
Oh, smart.
Right? She'll get up, move around a little, stretch.
Yeah.
Just little things to keep her mind fresh during those longer periods of concentration.
That's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all been there. You try to power through a huge task without breaks and your brain just turns to mush.
Yeah.
Those breaks are so key.
Yeah.
Like a reset button for your concentration.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Daniel's afternoons, those are his peak work hours. So lots of meetings, project work, that sort of thing. But what's really interesting is that, he also makes a point of taking breaks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even if it's just for a few minutes, he steps away from his desk, he stretches or grabs a quick snack. He knows he needs to kind of recharge during that busy period.
I love that both of them, even though their afternoons are so different,
Right?
have landed on this idea of breaks. Like, it just goes to show it's a universal human need to step away, even for a little bit, just to keep your brain functioning.
Yeah, it's so true. And speaking of fueling up, let's talk about lunch.
Okay.
Now, both Jennifer and Daniel, they seem to prefer lighter lunch options.
Interesting.
So Jennifer usually has a salad or a sandwich. Daniel might have a quinoa salad with veggies or a turkey sandwich.
Okay.
And the reasoning is pretty clear. They're both trying to avoid that dreaded afternoon slump.
Ugh, the slump.
Yeah.
The struggle is real. And it's not just like a feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's like science. Like after a heavy carb-heavy meal, our blood sugar spikes and then it crashes. And that's what brings on that sluggish feeling.
Right.
So they're being really smart.
Yeah.
By eating lighter, more balanced lunches, they're managing their energy levels.
Yeah. It's like they're hacking the system.
Totally.
Okay. So after lunch, it's time to really tackle those bigger tasks. So Jennifer focuses on her assignments, trying to get a good chunk of work done while her energy's still up.
Makes sense.
Daniel does the same. He prioritizes those key projects, the ones that need more focus, and he tries to get them done during those peak afternoon hours.
So smart. It's like they're working with their body's natural rhythm.
Exactly. And Crystal, our trusty vocabulary expert, she had a few terms to highlight for the afternoon.
I bet she did.
So we've got focused, that concentrated effort that Jennifer puts into her studies, recharge, what Daniel's aiming for with those breaks,
Right.
regrouping after lunch to tackle the rest of the day, the sluggish feeling they're both trying to avoid, Daniel's intention to knock out those big projects, and then, of course, energy slump, the enemy.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, so the day is winding down. It's evening time. What happens now?
Well, for both of them, this is all about transitioning from that active part of the day to unwinding and relaxing. So Jennifer, she likes to take a short walk after dinner, which is usually around 7 p.m., where she'll do some light stretching, just a way to kind of de-stress.
That makes sense. Creating a boundary, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
work day or study day is done.
Exactly.
Now it's time to relax.
Yeah. And Daniel has a similar approach. So after work, he loves listening to music or going for a walk. Dinner for him is also around 7 p.m., but he'll usually have something pretty simple and nourishing.
Okay.
So like grilled salmon and veggies or a stir fry.
I'm noticing a theme here with the light movement.
Mhm.
Like they both incorporate that into their evening.
That's true.
It's almost like physically shaking off the day. Yeah, I love that. Okay, and as they get ready for bed, guess what?
What?
Another shared habit, brushing their teeth and washing their faces. Daniel actually referred to it as hitting the reset button.
Love that.
Right, just the small ritual that helps them feel refreshed and ready for sleep.
It's so powerful how these little routines,
Yeah.
they signal to your body that it's time to wind down.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then for their final wind down activities, Jennifer likes to read a book or have a cup of herbal tea, and she avoids screens in the hour before bed.
Oh, good for her.
And Daniel has a similar approach. So reading, listening to some calming music, anything but screens.
That's so key,
Yeah.
avoiding those screens.
Yeah.
That blue light messes with our melatonin production, which is the hormone that helps us sleep.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really impressive? Their bedtimes are super consistent. Jennifer aims to be in bed around 10:20 p.m., Daniel around 10:30 p.m., and they both really emphasize how important it is for them to get a full night's sleep.
I mean, that's the foundation of a good day, right?
Yeah.
A good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And being consistent with your sleep schedule, it keeps your circadian rhythm in check. That's your body's natural clock.
Right.
So they're basically setting themselves up for success.
Yeah, totally. And before we move on, Crystal, our vocabulary guru, she had a few more terms for us.
Hit me.
Okay. So unwind, that deliberate act of relaxing after the day is done.
Yeah.
The reset button that Daniel talked about with his bedtime routine. Wind down, that gradual process of getting ready for sleep.
Love it.
And then, of course, herbal tea Jennifer's go-to bedtime drink.
So cozy.
Right. So when we look at Jennifer's and Daniel's days as a whole, what do we see?
Yeah, what do we see?
They're both starting their days with intention, they're focusing in the afternoon, but they're also balancing that with breaks, and then they're really dedicating their evenings to unwinding and getting ready for a good night's sleep.
I mean, it seems pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
but it's so easy to get caught up in the chaos of life and let those good habits slip.
Totally. And that's the key takeaway, right? It's not about copying their routines exactly, but about understanding the principles behind them
Yeah.
and figuring out what works for you.
Right. Like, when do you feel most energetic? When do you tend to hit that wall?
Exactly.
When do you need a break?
Yeah. It's not about a rigid schedule. It's about creating a framework,
Yeah. Totally.
that works for you, that gives you that sense of organization and control.
And don't forget self-care.
Yeah.
That's in there too.
So as we wrap things up, I want you to think about something.
Okay.
Which parts of Jennifer's and Daniel's routines really resonated with you?
Yeah.
Are there any little tweaks you could try? Maybe a more mindful start to your morning or building in a break during that afternoon slump? Just experiment and see what helps you feel a little more balanced and in control.
That's such a good point. Just a small change can make a big difference.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that rhythm that works for you and helps you feel your best.
Exactly.